It's an extraordinary moment, isn't it, really, when you realise the past refuses to die. This week, Virginia Giuffre's posthumous memoir, Nobody's Girl, a memoir of surviving abuse and fighting for justice, has brought Prince Andrew once more into the harshest glare of public scrutiny, and teasing chapters and phrases from that memoir have already been leaked to the newspapers. Giuffre, who tragically took her own life earlier this year, wrote that the Duke of York behaved as though having sex with me was his birthright, a chilling phrase that cuts to the heart of entitlement, privilege, and alleged abuse of power. Her account revives the most damaging details. The infamous photograph at Ghislaine Maxwell's Belgravia home, Epstein behind the camera, Andrew's arm around a 17-year-old girl, and Maxwell smiling behind them. It's an image that has defined the scandal, and one the Duke still insists is fabricated, yet Giuffre's description of that night of dinner at Tramp nightclub and Andrew sweating profusely on the dance floor again punctures the central claims that he made in that disastrous Newsnight interview, that he couldn't sweat because of a medical condition caused, he said, by an overdose of adrenaline during the Falklands War. The contradiction is grotesque in its simplicity. Either the Duke sweated that night or he didn't. Either the photograph is genuine or it's not. But the power of Giuffre's memoir is that it resurrects those details not as courtroom evidence but as human testimony, the perspective of a young girl drawn into Epstein's circle of exploitation. And she writes of running Andrew a bath, of his politeness, even his thank you afterwards, and of Maxwell's approval. You did well, the prince had fun. These details, mundane and sordid in equal measure, create a texture of plausibility that mere denial cannot erase. For Andrew, the danger now is not legal but existential. He's already been stripped of military titles, public duties, and his HRH status in official use. The king has quietly ensured that his brother is no longer seen on the palace balcony, nor at family occasions beyond the bare minimum. Efforts to evict him from Royal Lodge have failed. The lease is legally binding until 2078, but the moral eviction has already occurred. Within the monarchy, Andrew is a ghost. Yet Giuffre's posthumous voice restores the scandal's moral urgency. Her narrative portrays Epstein as a master manipulator who preyed upon girls who no one cared about, offering wealth, comfort, and protection that became the instruments of their captivity. Andrew's alleged involvement in that system, whether he knew it or not, sits uneasily with the continued royal privileges that he delves into. The king is said to have run out of options. The public, however, has not run out of disgust. There's also something hauntingly symbolic in the detail of the sweat. It's become the shorthand for Andrew's implausibility, the absurd literalization of a defence that collapses under human scrutiny, the idea that a man accused of predatory entitlement could clear his name through a claim about perspiration was always destined to be grotesque theatre. Now, as Giuffre's book reiterates the same observation, that he sweated profusely, the absurdity of his past excuses becomes emblematic of the entire affair, a royal insulated from reality attempting to substitute biology for morality. And the memoir's timing compounds the crisis. Its release coincides with reports that Andrew's emails to Epstein after 2010, in which he writes, "We're in this together," contradict his claim to have severed ties with the convicted sex offender. Combined, these revelations suggest not merely poor judgment, but deception. So what now? The king, aides say, has few remaining levers. To strip Andrew of the dukedom would require Parliament. To expel him from the royal estates would invite scenes of eviction more damaging still, and yet silence is no longer sustainable. The monarchy's moral capital depends on visible accountability, and in this instant, it's running perilously low. Giuffre's memoir, beyond its royal implications, is also a devastating indictment of power itself. It exposes the way wealth and class collude to normalize exploitation, and how predators like Epstein relied upon systems of deference and complicity. The Duke of York may have settled his civil case without admitting guilt, but he cannot settle with history, and as her words echo from beyond the grave, we're reminded of a single truth: power without conscience is always corrosive, whether exercised by financiers, socialites, or princes. Andrew's problem is not only that he sweated, it's that he believed he would never have to. in the end, it's tragic, isn't it? This person brought low, brought down by his own habits, by his own hand. The palace may hope for discretion, but this book ensures there will be none. A monarchy that once symbolized restraint now finds itself haunted by the unrestrained appetites of one of its own. The king's brother is still a prince by birth, but increasingly a pariah by choice. And there's some bit in me that feels enormous sorrow for this. Enormous sorrow. This is a wretched story that simply will not go away.